Welcome to the Yeshiva Daf. We're holding in Menachos Daf Nun Aleph. And we're going to be starting from, we're basically, maybe we'll go for the beginning of the Brisa. Third line from the top of Mudal, the Gemara says, Tanya Kavasei Derovo, Al Machlas Melamed Shetun Kli, that we quoted yesterday, that you need to have a Kli in order to do the Machlas. That was the reason why you had to have, you could do it on Shabbos as well, because if not, it'll go overnight, it'll be absurd. So now we're going on. The Pashas, I think this is the continuation of the Brisa. B'Shemen, it says in the Pasuk B'Shemen, Amachos B'Shemen Tasa. We're talking about the Chavite Kohen Gadol, the special mincha the Kohen Gadol has to bring. He says B'Shemen. What does B'Shemen come to tell you? So the Brisa says in the beginning, Lo Hisif Lo Shemen, to add Shemen. So we'll see. The Gemara is going to end in a moment, not to have the regular amount of shemen, but more. But more. We'll address that in one moment. How much more oil should you have? It says shemen over here by the Kohen Gadol. It says shemen. So there you have every son, you have 3 lug. You're bringing your one Yisar for the Kohen Gadol. You divide half and half. If you have 3 lug for the Yisar, or Klach Derzu, maybe we'll go a different way. Himar kan shemen, v'nemar b'mechas nedov shemen. Ma'lo lug echod, avkan lug echod. There it's one. Here's 1 lug. There's 1 lug. So maybe you'll have the minimum amount of lug shemen, which we'll see in a moment. That's not more. That's regular. Lug echod shemen is the minimum amount. So what would be that? What do you mean to add more? This is just the basic amount. So I think we're going to address in a moment. But who are we going to compare it to? Let's see who we're comparing it to. Donim tavshat mitavshat or tabesh mitabesht. So meaning that's Rosh Tevus. What is the tabesht Rosh Tevus? Tadir, meaning that it's coming. The tomit comes Tadir, and Chavitim comes every single day. Ba'choiva, it's obligation. I don't know why it takes the parentheses, but it's obligation to be Tomin, it's obligation to be Chavitim. Doicha Shabbos, that's the Shin, Shabbos. Shabbos is Nidcha for Tomin and Chavitim. And Doicha Tuma, you bring in the Tuma as well. Mashaik in Nidav, it doesn't come in Shabbos, doesn't come in Tuma. It's not Tadir, and it's not obligation. Maybe we'll learn a different drasha. Donim yagil miyagil. This is our girsa. Rashi's gear says yagil. Think of the middle of you. We'll see in a moment. What is the yagil? Yochid. The double comes individual, and the chavitim Kohen Gadol is individual. It's not a tzibur. Masheik and Tommy is a tzibur. Biglal atzma comes on its own. Doesn't come with something else. The minchas esachim comes with the carbon. Yain. This is not. The parentheses Rashi takes it out. That you do have wine, don't have wine, because the wine of Tomid is not part of the mincha specifically. And levoino, you need to have a levoino by.
I mean, it doesn't really answer why the person maybe took out chayva because they want to make sure that it's the same number. Otherwise, you would go after the Gemara always goes after the one that has the greater.
I hear. Good. That's good. Maybe
that doesn't explain why. I
don't say it.
Chayva comes out.
Yeah, and levoino is that you have by Kohen Gadol and by the Talmud, you have Levoino, Mashake, and by Nedava. You have Levoino. So I need to come and learn from one. I don't know which one. So you learn 30, you learn 1. I don't know. So more right now does not give me a solution. So it says by there, soilus by the Minchas Chavitim, soilus minchot you call it Tomit. This is basically what we ended yesterday's daf with. This a similar drasha. So Bishma learns it from a pasuk that's called Tomit. Shimon Oimer Riba kan shemen for Riba b'minchas kvasim shemen. You have a lot more oil here, and you have more oil by minchas kvasim. Ma'lo shlosh lugim lisarin, because you bring for a keves 3 lug per yisarin. Afkan shlosh lugim lisarin. Good. So we're going to say it. Ribokat shemen, and Minchas Porim ve'elim shemen. We know keves. You bring 12 lug because you bring yahin for you divide it into, you have 3 per isarin because you're taking 9 for the 3. Mashaik, when I talk about the Rashi brings, if you want to look at Rashi says, one second. Here. Minchas Nixi Por Veilim. Look at that. Bet look at this. So the Chtia Pasha Shlach Lechov, equivalent Ben Aboker Soilis, Shloisho Esroinim Bol Vashemin, Chatzi Ayin, half Ayin, Tainu Vav Lugim, Shtaim Lisorin. Because I have 6 lug for 3 Esroinim. Uba'altiv La'al Tasem Lichos Shne Esroinim Bol Vashemin Shlisain, Then Dad Lugim, Shtaim Lisorin. So that's your dash over there. Mashayket by Kevis, it says Gimel Lugim Lisorin. So you're bringing more per Yisrael. It's 3 lug or 2 lug. But you're bringing more than 1 lug. So I don't know more what? More kevis or more parvayil? Maybe it's 2. Why are you comparing 2? You're learning from the mincha that causes the Yisrael, which means by you bring the mincha of the Kohen Gadol is 1 Yisrael, and the mincha of the cause of the kev is 1 Yisrael. Meaning when you bring the parvayil is going to be more than 1 Yisrael. Gimel Yisrael, 3 Yisrael, 2 Yisrael. So that we don't learn from there. Okay, so that's the brisa. So this is the Gemara. 1 second. I go back. Amad b'shemen lo yisif lo shemen. The first line of the brisa was, I have to have more shemen. Then you're going to Minchas Davar, which is the basic shemen. So is it more or is it the basic? That's Rabbi Shimon, and then the end of the brisa have Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon arguing. Rabbi Shimon l'shitosoi he's consistent. He always needs to be more shemen than usual, as we see in that. So ubedina ma'akave'ada. Who's the one who says let's learn bedin? Let's learn. What is it compared to? Rabbi Shmuel, Yagil miyagil, tavshal mitavshat. That's a din. What are we comparing it to? That is Rabbi Shmuel. Says the Gemara. So in other words, it's really the brisa is changing. It starts with Reba, which is Rabbi Shimon. Then it turns to Rabbi Shmuel that learns it din, and then we go back to Rabbi Shimon. That's what goes according to this explanation. It's really all Rabbi Shmuel. So 1 second, what are you saying, Reba, and then you're saying minimum? I know it's to add more shemen than the basic. I don't need to tell you the basic shemen. It's a regular machvas. Machvas, you bring shemen. Maybe not. Maybe you do have to have shemen. Maybe it should be like minchas choite. There's no shemen. So I don't know. So the way we read the brisa is like debating. Do I add oil or it's basic oil? Do I know the basic oil already or not? So the beginning you say, yeah, of course you know basic oil. It's like matfas. Who said? Maybe it's like a choite. Okay, so I'm not so sure. But I can learn in Medina. I will learn in Yagil. Will learn in Tavshet. He couldn't figure it out because I don't know what to learn from the Dava or from Tamid. Rabbi Shmuel will say. So then you end it with a pasuk. So Rabbi Shmuel starts with a ribui, and then he says, 1 second, I can't do a ribui. I can't. So what is the basic? The basic is this. The brisa starts with the words Laharsif Lashem. Ribui.
Doesn't it, in order to be start with a ribui, you have to start.
Oh, so the Braygo says he assumed I don't need to have the basic.
It's like
But then he changed his mind. So means the brisa is like he's debating. He's like, I actually do need. Shimon, he holds that you learn from Machvas. And he does not agree with the question. That's why in the morning I was struggling with it. It's really Rashi. If you want to look, see it's I told because there's
the difference between Shimon and Shmuel is whether
you learn from Chayte.
Whether you can learn from
Chayte.
Meaning if you learn from Chayte means you don't learn from Machvas.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. The That's your this the Rashi over here is very, very,
You
very
can have a mincha without shemen. So the fact that it's a machos doesn't mean anything. It could be like a
right. So you live in Chayt to Chayt is exclusion. That's maybe the Machlokas of Shmuel and Rabbi Shimon. We have over here the Rashi. You should know Rashi is very, 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 very unorganized. There's a whole balagan of Rashi. The Shitu Mikubetz is busy or reorganizing Rashi, and it's saying Kachim. Hagod Kachim is reorganizing Rashi. So it's like when you read Rashi, it's like completely not in order. Okay, the Gemara says, okay, so the Gemara, Rabba Amar Kula Shimon. So Rabbi Shimon. V'ilu lo yineh makom. What do you mean? Ariko. Beshemen lo yisiv l'shemen. It's coming to add shemen. Ti likvoya shemen lo tzorich. I don't need. V'nichti bo machos k'machos damyo. Like we said machos. V'hatshel lo yoyim b'shemen yesh b'din. It's like, why do I need to, you're saying, it says machos. Why do I need to learn that more? You're like, know it b'din. Just learn tafshat from Menachos. V'dan din v'lo yasele. He was trying to add more oil based on the din, based on the limud. He says, I can't because I have yagil. So I need b'shemen. So now we need the pasuk b'shemen as he goes on to say later. Shimon Omer, what do you learn? He says, that's how you learn it. So he goes back to his original state. So he says, okay, so if you're already learning, how do you know to be like kvasim? Maybe he's like poim be'elim. And you learn that's it. And in other words, the second way of the Bryce, explain the Bryce, this is all Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon said, I learned more. How do I know the basic? Well, machlas. And says, why do you need to have a pasuk for more? I can learn bedina. So one of the you can't learn. Oh, so I need the pasuk. That's what Shimon. According to the first shot, Bishwal wanted to do more, but then he realized I can't do more. I have to do basic. And according to the first shot out of the three, is really a machlekes of Bishwal and Rabbi Shimon, and the Brisa starts with Rabbi Shimon, continues to Rabbi Shmuel, and goes back to Rabbi Shimon. So the Brisa is
Shimon also has a Havmina that say that it should be like Menachos Parim Ve'elim. He also says that.
He's the only one who says it. Parim Ve'elim is more. Parim Ve'elim is Shnei Lugin Sorry.
2-1 as opposed to 3-1.
Right, but it's
because originally the Gemara starts off saying that Shimon wants to say that either 3-1
or 2-1.
Oh, I thought you said 1-1.
No, 1-1 is the Dava. But that's not Rabbi Shimon. Rabbi Shimon never had Havmina to have 1-1. That's only Rabbi Shmuel. So in the third option of the Gemara says, no, Rabbi Shmuel, all Rabbi Shimon is saying, I don't need to have, I can learn Medina.
That's when the Gemara starts off saying, go back to the top number, it says, read the never kan shem, never lahal benchas nechas shem, malan l'shloish l'shloish, so I've shloish l'shloish, it's oiklach l'der zu, never kan shem, and never benchas nedava shem, malan l'uk echad. Right.
So according to the third explanation, what is the third explanation of the Gemara? The third explanation of the Gemara is that Rabbi Shimon says, 1 second, do I need the word b'shemen? I don't need b'shemen. I can just figure it out on my own. So well, no. Maybe you can't figure it out. Maybe you learn from the Dava. On my own, I don't really have to add more shemen. Reb Shimon starts by saying the word b'shemen tells you more shemen. So I don't need the word b'shemen. Take out the word b'shemen. Learn it tavshit. I know more shemen. So no, because you have yagil. You have nedava. Maybe it's not more shemen.
So that's what it says. Who says this thing? When he says Hadar Amar Tavi Minchas Parim Ve'elim, that's what Shimon said?
That's later. That's the second part of the Brisa. The Brisa says 2 parts. The beginning it says, let's learn from here, let's learn from there in the Dava. Then it says in the bottom, comes up Shimon, it says, let's learn from Parim Ve'elim. It's the second part. So in that part, Rabbi Shimon already agreed they need b'shemen. I need to have an extra word to tell you it's more shemen. But how much more? 2-1 or 3-1? 1-1 is the basic. It says b'shemen, it's more. But how much? 2 or 3? That's the second part of the Brisa. Okay, look the Mishnah. They did not appoint another kohen underneath the original kohen. How do you bring Michas Chavitim if you don't have the original kohen? The tzibur has to pay for it. The inheritance of the first kohen have to bring it. Everybody agrees. You bring it shalem, meaning you bring it as the two explanations there. But shalem, meaning you bring it as one. You don't bring halves. You bring full. Not like the Kohen Gadol when he brings half in the morning, half in the evening. So Gemara Torah Abanan, Kohen Gadol shemeis v'lo yiminu Kohen acher taktiv. They did not appoint the Kohen under him. Minayin shedei minchos so Kohen Mishloach. I didn't know it goes with the Yorshim. Tomud lo yimav Kohen Hamashiach taktov mi bono v'yase oiso mibano from his children. Do you do half and half? Talmud loimar oiso kula v'lo chetzio. Full, not half. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So that's the Shlosh Rabbi Yehuda. Shimon loimer choik olam shaloilam choik olam shaloilam etzibur, not the Yoshim. Kolil tiktash they kulu bektar. He learns kolil tiktash is the whole thing, not half. So we'll buy a kohen and Mashiach lachud also. If you couldn't show for that. How you buy the Kedatani is a korban aron uvonov asher krivu laHashem biyoim imoshach oisoi. As it says, so the pasuk tells you there that we're talking about when they started the avodah, they brought a korban, they bring a mincha. So could it be they bring the same one? Each one bring his own. That's the Kohen. He also brings when he starts the avodah. Maybe only Kohen Gadol. Says that the one who will inherit Aaron, it says Kohen Gadol. Then they also bring mincha when they start the avodah. So that's what you learn from here. That's the pasuk that says Mikpanov teaches you that the son has to bring a mincha. How do you see from here the idea that if he dies, the Yoshim bring it? So when Ken Nichtov Kol Kohen Hamashiach Tachtov Bonov, one after him, his child. Say my mi bono. Why it says name? Shabbos Minitaita mi bono also comes to tell you that it comes from the Yoshim. So that's the dash of this drosh. If you have Shimon, the dash of the other drosh, I oiso my ability. What he was oiso. Vayel koy godo shemeis uminu acher tachtov shelo yovi chatzi yisrael mi beisov l'chatzi yisrael sherish. So now we saw in previous daf. He doesn't bring the half to the left, the first one left. He doesn't bring his own half. He brings a full. We saw yesterday. Bob lo darish doesn't dash, and the second will be the same like the first. What is he with chuk oilam? Because the other one learned chuk oilam to cause to the tzibur. Chuk oilam te. It's always going to be there. It means it stays forever. It's going to be something that you always do. Kol tik dolam ali. Ibaya ketanya ein li ela yoino. Menachos kohen gadol bechol tiktor. Meaning a kohen gadol has a mitzvah to bring his mincha and to bring it fully on the mizbech. There's a lav that nobody can eat it. How do you know that also kohen hedjud goes full on mizbech and also kohen gadol has a lav not to eat it? You put the whole thing on the mizbech. After the whole thing on the mizbech. Someone eats his over alav. So you learn Gzeh Shava. It's not what he does with the color. It says more of a Sova of Shir Mishal Tzibur Doraisa. You want to tell me that he holds that the Tzibur is Doraisa? He holds from a pasuk. Hanan Omar Shimon Shiva Dvorim Mitkinu Bezdin. Bezdin is second 7 things. V'zeh Echad Nehem. Echad Nehem refers to the cases brought there in Tzolim. Rashi goes on to tell you if you find an animal in the middle of the street, you have to bring it to Beis Hamikdash. They used to tell the person who found it he has to bring the Sachim as well. People stop bringing it to Beis Hamikdash, so Beis Misakin and the Tzibur pays for it. That's one of the things Misakin. And then there's others. What's the other ones? If a guy sends a carbon, if he brings a Sachim, great. If he lav, carry Mishal Tzibur. If not, the Tzibur will pay for the Sachim. He doesn't have Yershim. He has the Sachim, take it from him. If he lav, carry Mishal Tzibur. Now bring it from the Tzibur. Another thing, there's a basin. Kohen died, and there's no other Kohen after him. The minchas supposed to be carved from the tzibur. So it's like the Kohen's basin. It's not a. It's not the rice. Originally the rice made tzibur. They saw that there's not enough money for the lishko. So you take it from the Yarsim. They saw the Yoshim not giving it. They brought it back to Doraisa. So it was Doraisa, changed to the Rabbanon, went back to Doraisa. One more takana that we're going to learn over here with this will end. That there's no Me'ilo using the Ephro. Well, Doraisa, the Tanya Chatas, even the Metchim Moilim Bo. he ba moyalim. Those are meilu, but the poor aduma. Having base of that, be'afra in moyalim is no meilu in the efer. So again, is it takana or is it the raisa? Rashi state the korazavi. The raisa ba moyalim be'afra in moyalim. The raisa there's no meilu in the efer. They saw they just they don't want to touch it. They're touching. There's no meila, so they used it for to heal their wound because of a meila. So there is a meila. So they didn't want to use it if it's not fully azor because they're afraid maybe they're doing meila. So a similar idea was the raisa. They changed the base, went back to the raisa. So takana is to bring it back to its original the raisa. Have a trailer kapur.